Well, it's another rainy fall day in Ohio. That can only mean one thing. It's raining. What do you do on a rainy day? Of course, you go look at a truck in the rain. That's what I do. About 3 weeks ago, I was sent some pictures of a truck. I looked them over. I was intrigued. Wasn't excited about the price of the truck, but I was impressed with what the truck was, or at least interested with what the truck was and the equipment it had. The overall condition it looked like it was in the pictures. Over the last 3 weeks, I have continued to keep going back and forth on this truck, looking at pictures and trying to find a reason that I should not go look at this truck, like something I missed, something I didn't see. I've not been able to come up with that. I keep trying to talk myself out of this because I don't need this truck. It'd be convenient to own this truck, but I do not need this truck. And based on the price of the truck, I have to decide whether it's worthwhile, and I'm willing to part with that money for that convenience. And that's always a struggle. But make no mistake, I never buy a truck based on my needs. I buy it based on the fact of what is it worth, what do I have to put into it, and what will it sell for if and when the time comes that I want to sell that truck. I have said this to many people many times. I keep them all until they're sold. All my trucks are for sale. They're never on sale. But when I buy a truck, I make sure I buy it at the right amount, because you never make money when you sell a truck. You make your money when you buy a truck. I get a lot of comments and people that would like to listen in on my negotiations of trucks. I'll never do that because it puts the seller in an awkward position, in an uneasy position, and that's not what I want with a seller. What I want with a seller is I want him to understand that I'm not looking to take advantage of anyone. I'm going to look the truck over, and I'm going to find out what I think the value of that truck is to me and what it's going to cost to make that truck what I think it needs to be and the repairs I think it needs to have. And then, and only then, would I make the man an offer. I don't bring into, I never downgrade a guy's truck, never. I just simply look at it, and if he'd like to know where I came up with that idea or that number or why, I simply point out the things that I saw. Good deals never happen when you try and BS somebody, and I don't do that. I just tell them simply, this is where I need to be at to make the truck what I need the truck to be based on its current condition. I did a video on my Peterbilt, and some guy left a comment and said that anyone with any experience would ask for service records, as many service records as they had. And I replied to this that anyone with any experience buying trucks would understand that service records mean nothing to me, because I have no idea who did those repairs. I don't know that guy or guys or women or woman that did them repairs. I don't know their qualifications. I don't know if they have standards like mine. I don't know if they used quality parts like I would. I don't know if they knew the proper procedure, had the correct training to do the proper job. Therefore, I don't care about maintenance records. What I do care about is its current condition. And the majority of the time, what I find when people want to boast about service records, it's for inexperienced buyers, and they need that to justify the inflated price of the truck. None of that matters to me. I'm not paying the price on a truck based on what was done 2 or 3 years ago, because by this time it's worthless. And like I said, I have no way to verify the quality of the person doing the work or the actual procedure or even the parts they used. Therefore, I put no merit in service records. So what I'm going to do, as I always do, is I'm going to go out here and I'm going to look this truck over front to back, like I always do. And I'll bring you guys along, and I'll point out things that I look at and what I think and what I don't think. Every truck's a little bit different because every truck has something different. They're not all the same. And what I look for on one truck may not be the same, or there may be more or less things I look for on one another trucks. But I'm going to bring you along. I'm going to show you what I look at as I walk up to the truck. I'll start with that like I always do. I start with how it looks when I walk up to it. So stick around, grab a drink if you're interested. We'll be here in probably 10 minutes, and we'll get looking at it.
Alright, so here it is. It's a 2001 International 8100. Got hub pilot wheels. As I walk up to it, I'm looking to see if there's any leaks or any reason to suspect there's something wrong with suspension or any puddles. And right away, you see we got something going on, something leaking here. So it's got a diesel fuel leak. Anyways, so first thing I do is kind of look over the overall condition. They got it sandwiched in here. It's pretty hard to see. Got some aftermarket LED headlights. These are always usually buckets that broke out of these trucks. It's an 8100 and it has a taller hood right in here. The 4700 sits lower. 8100s usually have a bigger motor. So this has dual steel tanks, and that one's wet right there. It's got a double frame, starts right there. Frame looks pretty clean. Down to here, that's as far as we can see. Exhaust is no good. And muffler might be salvageable. Rockers. Underside of the cab. That's an insulator, just insulation. Back of the transmission looks pretty good, pretty dry. Can't get in there. Got a little damp on the back of the transmission. You can see the double frame over there. See how there's no rust jacking. That's nice. Quarter fenders. It's been repainted. It wasn't originally black. A little bit of damage there. Small crack. I might be a little more critical on this truck than others based on the dollar amount. Look at the orange peel in the paint. It was orange at one time. Always got to be careful when you tilt a hood. If them cables aren't there, thing will just fall right off. So I always look at these bars on Internationals because they do rot out. And you gotta see that rust color on that hinge. You see the bushings out of it. When the bushings are out of these hoods, this is what happens. They vibrate like this and start to wear away at the quarter fender. So it's an ISM Cummins. What we got for horsepower? 325. Nope, 280. She's 280 horse. It's pretty low for an ISM. It's an air-conditioned truck. Someone's taken the time to put some rub protection here. These things are common for the firewalls and the cab mounts to rot out. Up here, leaves get in this and rot out the firewall there. Overall, pretty decent. ISM is kind of tucked up in there. I mean, you can see half the engine's in the truck. So I look for stuff like this. You see the clutch fork. You can see how much wear is on this based on that rust. Needs a shock. Looks like the front brakes look good. Got just a small ridge on the drums. It is ABS. And then I want to check the steering, so I'll grab a hold of the steering shaft with one hand and just turn it back and forth. You can see the drag link. So it needs a drag link. All that movement is not moving the wheel at all because of that play right there. If I had my wife with me, I'd have her turn it more. There's play there. I can't check this because I can't get enough. So we'll look at the tires. They tell the same story. I look at the wear of the tires for see the edges here. This shock is evident because you can see the hopping on the tire and you can feel it. So that'll ride real nice, I'm sure. I'm being sarcastic. Anyways, No major leaks I'm seeing here. Everything looks to be in fairly clean shape. Check the radiator, the hoses, check inside the radiator here. This is, I think they're stacked. You can see here's the air charge in front, and then here's the radiator behind. Let's go to the other side. Look over there. So look at this tire. Heavy wear on this edge right there. You can see the edges off of it, and you can see how this edge, how the nubs here are less. You can't see this detail in the tires. I don't know if it shows up in camera, but it's kind of off the edge there. That shock looks okay. These brakes look good. Check this ridge, about the same. And we got an oil leak here, right here. An ISM that could be, that's probably a head gasket up here. And we'll check the fluid. We'll check the oil, check the coolant, see what we got. What I'm looking for in the oil is, one, the level. Two is the quality of the oil. As far as, is it thin with diesel fuel? Does it smell like coolant? It was a little low. Just smells like dirty oil. Don't see any evidence of coolant. If it was over full, we'd suspect fuel diluting or coolant. It's back in here. Minor things, check the belt, looks good. That oil leak, I'm betting, is coming from between the head. The other thing with oil is, you notice how that's kind of dissipated. There may have been some diesel fuel in that oil, because usually that stays on your fingers. You have to wipe it off. So we may have a little bit of dilution, but I couldn't smell it. Okay, now we'll get over here. We're going to check the coolant tank. You see the AC lines are all in place. AC dryers here. The cap is off the AC, which means they've probably got a leak. This one of those old fuel filters here. Call that a lube refiner, is that what that is? That frame's in nice shape. You can see the rust spots, the rust stains right here on these bolts. It means they're probably loose and moving. Okay, like I was saying, you see the cap is off of the AC, so they probably charged this. The AC is probably leaking. The turbo looks good. I don't see any leaks in the turbo. This is where my pocket flashlight comes in handy. So we got two fuel lines coming in this way to this side, and then one coming out. Okay. Check the coolant. You guys can't see. I'll have to get up there. Sometimes you can tell by the sight glass, but if it's below that, you just have to look inside there. Let's see if I can find my... Alright, so it's just a little under half, just slightly below that sight glass. So not overly alarming, as long as we don't see any oil, any coolant in the oil, or smell it when it's running. Okay. Now we'll move back. I check all this before I start it, because once you start them, it seems like you don't get back to some of the things you wanted to check. See, we got some cobbled up wiring here that needs attention. Not sure what we got for this diesel fuel back here. I'm guessing that's a spray. It's a spray leak from side to side. You see, they got the PTO off the transmission right there, so they cut that crossover and went down below it. Let's see what that leak is. Let's continue looking at the truck first. So left off back here at the back of the frame. The frame looks pretty good. Get the light. That frame's in nice shape. Better look at that PTO right in here. Good look at the back of the transmission, the back of the engine, underside of the cab. These things tend to rot out right up in here really easily. Someone's prepped and painted them tanks. I think I have a set of aluminums that I could put on this. I don't overlook batteries. Well, in this case it's not going to matter because they're dead. But I don't discount the age of batteries in the value of a truck. Diehards. See if I can find a date on them or something. Well, they're 950s. Got some wiring in here. It's probably ECM. A little bit of corrosion. Somebody's been poking the wires right there. There's some corrosion damage. Keep that in mind for down the road. If I buy it, we'll fix it. That's a crappy crimp there. That's unacceptable. And a lot of these connections are unacceptable. Anyways, you see when they painted it, they left the paint on the airlines. Underside of that frame looks good. So here's the business end of it. It's a single axle wrecker. You know, got some rust here that needs addressed. One thing about this is this truck is way too long for this size. You can see the taillight right here in the toolbox where it's splitting out. So this truck is too long for what we want to do. We would need to take just the bed portion, this up to here, and put it on a different truck and shorten it up. We don't need that extra, looks like 4 feet up there, plus the gap behind the cab. We could do away with that and just move this forward and move that light tower back onto here, and that would be adequate. So looking at the overall condition, the bottom side of this is pretty important because these things they're pretty generic sides, like sheet metal and Bondo where the joints are. I don't know if you can tell that's a little bit Bondo. They don't hold up well. So when you sandblast this to repaint it, you're sometimes left with Swiss cheese. Make sure all the controls work, or at least move. That one's stuck. Oh, that winch control's broke. This must be the underreach. Got air control with valve, shut-off valves here. That's pretty nice. Let's see what the rating is on this boom. Alright, so it's a Challenger bed, model 5800. Boom's good for 40,000. Winch is 20,000 each. Alright, so that's the rating for the boom. Looks like the underreach was added on later. They've got obviously a hydraulic leak because all this water's beating up here and it's got that color, and you can see it on the boom a little bit there. Look at the frame here. Got an air tank on the outside there. I'll get underneath it here in just a minute because the undersides of these really take a beating. Air ride rear. Low Pro 22.5s front and rear on hub pilot wheels. These are recovery hooks. You probably wouldn't be doing any recovery, but you have to consider that in the fact that if I sell it. And this tow bar, look how high that tow bar is. I just can't see us using that with it mounted that high. Maybe, maybe not. So obviously the under each cylinder leaks. As you can see, it's well worn. This has been heated up here. Must have crushed it or something. So that's gonna require a lot of work. If you watch that hinge, the center pin, look how much it moves. Okay. And then I'll continue down this side the same way. Looks like this cable's been replaced. This side's older. Maybe an older cable. Got quite a few crimps on it. And these not sure what they got into there, but they got something inside the cable. The cable tensioners are here, but they've got it wound up against here. I must have slacked it out and pulled it back in without any tension on it, I'm assuming. I'm not a tow truck operator, so I really don't know. But that boom is in pretty decent shape. Obviously ain't been greased in forever. And they move. Pulleys move. Looks like the bushing's out of that one. Bushing's definitely out of that one. And they still move. Like the top deck's okay. Yeah, there's must be a hydraulic leak here. Something. Okay, I think I've done enough checks up here. I think it's time to see if we can start it. Okay, we're gonna start it. Alright, so the cluster doesn't work at all. Looks like I'm not the first person to try and tap it, huh? Smoking a little bit. Idle up works. Not concerned with the air conditioner. This is not in properly. It's not sitting where it belongs. Flash. I can't tell. I guess we're building air pressure. I can't tell if we have oil pressure, what the temperature is, any of that stuff. I have another cluster here. We'll wait until we get up to the cutout on this, and then we'll engage. We're going to look underneath it and look for any oil leaks, drips, coolant, anything like that while it's warming up. Serpentine's okay. Things like diesel fuel leakage. And here comes the rain. Should be here in the cutout soon. Speed. You see how much of the motor is inside the cab here. See what somebody did here. There's the extension right there. They bent that, put that extension on. Yeah, we don't want that. Waiting for a cutout. We ain't cutting out yet. Should be any second. There it goes, finally. Okay, clutch in. Hook the cables back in the tow bar here. Unfortunately, the one winch is the lever's not working. We're gonna boom out. Then I can monitor how much cable I got left here. Stop about there. See how much play is in this. This is what I just got rid of recently. See how much play is in here. And look how much space is in here. It's pretty worn. Like it needs taken apart and gone over. Alright. Let me get the boom up. Oh, looky there. There's where our leak is. Okay. So that must be inside the boom, I guess. That cylinder must be leaking. Guess we'll pull that back in. Boom in. And they got that backwards on the valving. It says out. That's good. Take the boom down. That's our winch. Say the boom does good. Can't let that other winch out. I'll have to flip that by hand. The stiff legs work. Look what they did here. Rip that side out. Here's the hiccup in that truck. You see this is backwards. I keep going the wrong way. Run the boom back in. And look, that's backwards too. And we can only run one winch. Still want that flapping around. Alright, we'll put the legs up. They're both up. And put the under reach up as high as it'll go. There should be that. I'm going to run that boom out just till those are tight backwards, so I'll have to go out. Back that one off a little bit, that winch. Go they're the same. And we'll run the boom out some more. Run the winch out. I'd say that everything on this is pretty worn. It's about even. I'm going to run that boom up just a little bit. Boom up. I think up is back to me. They've got them backwards. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, See, that one don't work. The rod's disconnected. Alright, now it's been running for a while. We can check for blow by and I guess temperature. Running pretty cool. Got some blow by, only about 58 degrees. Shouldn't be seeing that because of temperature. Alright, let's get inside and check the clutch, see how it works, make sure the transmission will shift into the gears. I can't drive it, don't have any plates or insurance, and I don't want it moved. Boy, that clutch feels good. Right off the floor. Up where I'd like it. Sixth. Seventh. Eighth. Ninth. 10th. And if a clutch was weak, like this, it would slip. Because when I'm doing this with a parking brake set and up in the higher gears, 9th or 10th, if it would slip, that's where I would notice it. But so far, I think that's okay. Now I'm just going to go ahead and check all the lights real quick. But other than that, that's kind of the check. I need to crawl underneath it and look at the frame underneath there. But boy, it's a diesel spilled mess under there. Disengage the PTO. Turn off the cruise control. Now I'm going to check all the lights, see what we got working. Got 4 ways here, and headlights, I don't know why International puts them over here, but they're on this side. A lot of times, even if I'm not making a video, I will video looking a truck over just so I can look back at it later to see if, you know, if there's anything I want to reference in there. Turn the 4 ways off. Turn the headlights and marker lights off. Next thing I want to do is find out if we're using 1 tank or 2. Alright. Conscientious of the cluster doesn't work, so the engine temperature was plenty cool. But we have no idea how it's about out of fuel. Okay, so it won't make it home on that amount of fuel, and I wouldn't want to run it much longer because you'll suck up all the dirt off the bottom of the tank. Let's check the other side. See what we got in this one. Obviously not the right step, huh? I must be drawing off both because they're both about the same. See the Senni, and it's on this side right here. It looks like an actual International. Okay, now all I have to do is look underneath it. I'm not excited about that. I've looked at the frame down both sides underneath pretty good, and I don't see anything alarming. So I think what I'm going to do is get a piece of cardboard, roll underneath it, look at rear main seal, draft tube, you know, transmission, check the U-joints, check the rear differential, things like that. That'll be the next thing I do. Check the rear air suspension. I'll check all these U-joints, make sure they're okay. Check my brake chambers, the radius arms, everything. Alright, we see the controls are up here, so we want to get up there and look and make sure they're not all leaking. Make sure there's no problems there. Looking for any cracks in the frame, front to back, or where it may have been spliced. We'll look at the, looks like I see it now, maybe not. We'll look at the door sticker too and see what the original wheelbase was. Back brakes look pretty decent. And this drum may have been replaced. I don't think that one has. Alright, so I've looked at the airbags and torque arm and the brakes, the wheel seals, the brake chambers, the slack adjusters. That looks like it's been replaced recently. This one's probably not that old. Brake chambers look good. Torque arms look good. I'm not seeing much of anything alarming back here, so I think I'm just about done under the truck. It's got a regulator leading to some control leak. Alright, so I think we're pretty complete on my inspection of this truck. Overall, the truck itself is in good shape. I think it needs a little bit of work here and there, but I don't think it's anything drastic. I just don't know if it's in good enough shape for me to. Oh, I see what happened here now. That's what's going on. The stop isn't here to stop this from coming in. It's broke off or cut off, and that should have stopped this big center nut back out here instead of letting it go under this. So this is not right. That would need a stop put out here, probably a little ways. And this repaired where these locks are. Supposed to be a pin to go through here, so you're not relying on hydraulics to hold that up. I don't know though. I mean, it's all there and it works. Got a leak in a hydraulic. I thought I got that up far enough. Maybe that's as high. Nah, I think it goes up higher than that. I'll get that up. So this for the one winch, and yeah, a little bit of rust here and there, like you expect. It is Ohio. I did look in all the cabinets, you know, but we would probably shorten this up. This is too long for what we do. The capacity of this bed is not heavy enough to warrant this long of a bed for us, for our use. So we would just move that bed forward, move them, put smaller tanks on it because we don't need them big tanks. Move the tanks underneath the cab, move the battery box inside one of these cabinets, just move that whole bed forward. That'd be a much better rig for us. I just have to decide if I'm willing to part with the money it takes to buy it. I think it's worth it. I just don't think it's what I need. So anyways, I guess we'll see. Don't mind the change of scenery here. I was on my way back. I called my wife. She was out mowing, and I told her I'd stop and get her some lunch and drop it off to her. She had my little truck and I had her van, so we just swapped vehicles. She'd prefer to drive her van. Anyway, so when I go to look at a truck, before I go, I look at what I think the truck is worth, and I study what I can study about it and make sure that I think it's worthwhile to go look at. So in this case, I knew what I thought the truck was worth, and I knew what he wanted for the truck, and I need to make sure that there's enough room in there that, you know, it can do what I needed to do. So I go look at the truck, and as I'm looking it over and I find the things that need repairs, I start making a mental note of what the parts and labor would cost to make these repairs. Now I'm talking about actual needed repairs, not preference. What I mean by that is the drive shaft needed one U-joint and one carrier bearing. Well, I like to take the drive shaft completely out, all three sections, replace all the carrier bearings, all the U-joints, inspect every yoke, and inspect the slip joint, and then put it all back together. Clean it, prime it, paint it, put it together, grease it, don't touch it again. You're good to go. But that's not how I deduct. I deduct what it actually needs to be a safe, reliable truck that can operate 100% as it's intended to be used. In this case, being a wrecker. So when I get through the whole entire truck and I'm done, and I take that dollar amount and I total it up, and I set that aside, and then I consider all the things that I can't verify. In this case, no plates, insurance. They didn't want me to move the truck. I couldn't drive it, so I have to go based on what I can check
And the things that I can't check, we have to take a gamble on, so we have to risk. And what I do is I look at the repairs that the truck needs. Are the repairs that the truck needs just general repairs that just are due to be done, or are they things that need to be done because of neglect? If you look at a truck, you can tell that it's had maintenance and it's been taken care of, but it just has some more maintenance items that need to be addressed to bring it to the standard that I think it should be, then I need to add a cushion for those repairs that I can't justify, I can't verify certain things. So I need to add in a cushion for extra repairs that I can't see. So what that amount is depends on what kind of repairs it needs. Like I said, if it's a neglect issue, then the percentage of unexpected repairs, that cushion I'm going to put in, is far greater than one that I believe has been a fairly well cared for truck. So I take that and then I consider how much money do I need to make after I put out X amount of dollars for the truck, X amount to transport it, X amount for repairs, X amount of time that I'm actually going to own the truck and my money's out not making any money, and then, you know, the actual sale, the time it takes to get it sold. So I figure that all out and I add all that together. How much money I need to make, parts and labor on the repairs I can see, plus the cushion for parts that I can't see, the repairs that it needs that I can't verify. I take that and I deduct all of that from what I think the truck will sell for. That is where my offer comes from. And if that offer, where I come to, is at their asking price or close to it, fantastic. If it's not, well, that's unfortunate. So the way I approach it is I never talk terribly about someone's truck. I just tell them simply, I've looked the truck over, and in order to bring it to the standards that I need and do the repairs it needs for me to be comfortable to buy that truck and sell it as a usable tow truck, this is what I can offer you. And if that works for you, fantastic. We'll write up a deal and I'll get you paid. If you need to think about it, I completely understand. My offer's good for a week. Take your time. I always say a week. I give them a week to think about it. And if they tell me, no, I can't do that, and it's what's your best number, I always tell them the same thing. I always give my best number first. You're never going to get a better number out of me later. I guarantee you it will go down. Because I'm going to go look at another truck tomorrow, or today, or this afternoon, or on the way home. And then your truck isn't nearly as attractive to me as maybe another one I look at. So I give them those options, and I tell them, if you'd like to do the deal, let me know. I'll pay you in $100 bills. I will pay you in a wire transfer. I'll pay you in a cashier's check. Doesn't matter to me. And more times than not, it takes a little while to get one bought, but it doesn't matter to me because I rest easy. I feel comfortable that I'm not taking advantage of anyone. I'm looking for a deal that both of us can live with. Some people don't accept the offer, some do. It's the nature of the business. It is what it is. I'm not in the business of losing money or pushing money across the table. I am in the business of making money. And as long as I'm doing my part and doing things right and treating people right, I'll continue to buy trucks. That's how it works. Some people ask for some insight on how I do it and my procedure, and there you go. I hope you enjoyed. Catch you on the next one.